What's up, guys? Eric Prey, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Monday, February 28th, end of February. Yay. Been on the water, I guess, since the last video 4 times. It's kind of a hit and miss deal right now, to be honest with you. Some days are really good, some days are a little bit tougher. We'll kind of get into that here in a minute. As far as our lake level is concerned, we are at 915.82. It's kind of been hovering right around that level right there. Core is running quite a bit of water out of Table Rock, but they are also kind of dumping beaver and dumping bull shoals. So you got a lot of current moving through the lake right now, a lot of current moving the shad around, and that may be one of the factors why it can be really good one day and not so good the next. Water temperature, I'm up here at Ants Creek. I saw 46 all day long. It was like 45.5 when I launched, and it's 46.8 right now. Water up here does have a, excuse me, a little bit of color to it, so that may be why it's a little bit warmer. I know when I was in the dam area last week, we were seeing about 45. Mid-lake about 45, and up the White about 45, 46. Actually saw 48 on up the Kings River, but that water's really dirty up there. But best way to know what's going on, best way to stay in touch with how to catch fish on Table Rock Lake, become a pro member, Table Rock Fishing Intel. We had 4 or 5 reports over the weekend. Once the ice got off of the ramps, we had some guys out fishing. So got some reports out there for you, trying to give you guys as much information as we can to get you on fish, save yourself some time when you come to the lake, so you're not out just hunting and packing around. And even today I tried a couple of different bites that I thought might be on, and they're not quite there yet, but they're getting pretty close. But excuse me, if you're coming down, say you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, I was down there last week. It was pretty good. You know, I'm not even going to talk about the deep bite anymore, guys, because I have not been deep fishing. I found some shad up here in the middle of the creeks, but I really did not see too many fish around them. I really feel like our fish all over the lake have already started to make that transition, started to make that move from out there in the guts of the creeks more towards the points. I mean, we're 6 weeks away from them getting on the beds and spawning, so you know, these fish are really starting to move shallow. So I'm not even going to talk about the deep bite. I didn't see a deep bite while I was down there. We basically caught them on 3 different baits down there. We caught them on a rock crawler, mostly on secondary points, more of a rock and gravel mix, but it still had to be fairly steep. It couldn't be like a flat rock and gravel mix. It had to be fairly steep. Caught several fish doing that. Caught them on a jerk bait. Really caught them better on the Vision 110 Plus 1 than any other bait. I've caught them on the Tennessee shad, was our best color. Most of those fish were around some sort of wood cover, whether it was a standing piece of timber or a brush pile. That's where those fish are. Most of them were suspended up towards the top of those trees. I'm going to say overall depth was about anywhere from 15 to 25. But you don't want those trees to be much deeper than 8 or 10, the tops of those trees to be much deeper than 8 or 10 feet deep, because it's hard to get a bait down to them. And then the last bite we had was an A-rig bite, and those were deeper fish. I'm not going to call them deep fish because I think the deepest we caught one was 30 feet deep. But those fish were hanging around brush piles, hanging around deep trees. Most of them, you know, they were live scope fish. We saw the fish in the top of the tree, or saw some shad around the top of a tree or around a brush pile, and just kind of slowly swam that over top of the brush pile and caught them that way. So those were the 3 bites we had going on down there. Going the mid-lake area, again, we got a couple of good bites going on in the mid-lake as well. Crankbait bite with either a rock crawler or wiggle wart has been pretty strong. Really kind of different this year. I'm not catching as many fish on the 45-degree chunk rock as I am the 45-degree banks that are more of a mix of rock and gravel. And the gravel seems to be key. It seems like if you when you hit those gravel patches, or you get a change from rock to gravel or gravel to rock, really seems to be where I'm getting bit. Wind's key on that, though. I can't seem to get bit on a rock crawler without some wind. Jerkbait bite as well, and those fish again are around timber, either standing timber or brush piles. Overall depth really doesn't seem to matter. You just want those, you want the top of the pile or the top of the tree to be anywhere from that 8 to 12 foot deep. Really is key to get those fish to come up and eat your jerk bait out of the pile. A-rig bite was strong as well. Those fish, the thing I'm using the A-rig for right now is if I'm seeing fish in trees that are like 15 or 20 feet down and I know my jerk bait can't get that deep, I'll swim an A-rig over the top of it or through that tree and see if I can catch them that way. And that's really how I've been catching the A-rig fish all over the lake, but mostly in the mid-lake, and did a little bit of that up here as well. Jig bite, did pitch a jig around some docks and caught a couple of short fish on it. I think we're just a little bit early for the jig bite. I mean, you can always catch them on a jig, but didn't give it a whole lot of time. So I'm not going to say the jig bite isn't happening, but we didn't catch them on a jig in the mid-lake. Up here in the James, where I am today, it's a weird day. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I had 12 fish with 5, maybe 6 keepers. None of them big fish. I had one on I thought was a good one, but he pulled off. And I probably had as many fish pull off today as I landed, maybe even more. Caught them jerkbait, A-rig, and crankbait. Threw a jig a little bit around a couple of docks, but never had a sniff on it. But I had fish pull off on all 3 baits. It was kind of weird. The ones I landed on the jerkbait and on the crankbait were both on the back hook with just one hook in their mouth. They're just not eating it really well. I don't know. The wind didn't come up till about noon or 1 o'clock, so that may have affected it. I know the bite was definitely slower this morning. I had a lot of fish follow my bait. Can see them on live scope, either come out of a tree and follow a jerkbait almost all the way to the boat, or follow an A-rig all the way to the boat out of a brush pile. I fished a couple of brush piles in 25 foot that were loaded with fish, and I'd bring it over top of the brush pile and watch fish come out, and they would follow it all the way back to the boat, and then just go right to the bottom when you got them to the boat. So kind of a weird deal there. But like I said, I caught A-rig, jerkbait, and crankbait here. Crankbait fish, again, it's more of a mixed rock and gravel versus just straight rock. It still needs to be 45 degrees or steeper. Jerkbait, everything was around trees, standing timber, mostly cedar trees that had some limbs on them. Were a little bit better. And then the A-rig, I was catching them around brush and around trees as well. Deeper trees, deeper brush piles that are like 20, 25 foot deep, where I knew I couldn't get the jerkbait down to them. Go up in the White River. Spent a couple of days up the White River last week. I had one great day up the White River and then had a mediocre day. So I don't know what that means. You know, had an east wind on the mediocre day, yada, yada, yada. I can make all the excuses in the world, but one day they bit, the next day they didn't. And I mean, it was back-to-back days, so it's kind of weird. But same baits are working up there. Throw a jig into that mix, because we did go up the Kings and caught a couple on a jig last time I was up there. So Jewel Pro Spider jig. I've been throwing bass whacker in that dirty water, and it seems to be working pretty well. Matched up with the bigger the bigger Versacraw, and putting a little bit of orange on the pinchers on that. Most of those jig fish, I mean, the fish aren't real deep right now, guys. You can find, if you want to put your head down just about anywhere on the lake, you want to put your head down and fish 15 foot deep or less, you can catch a limit of fish. Today I kind of bounced in and out looking for some different bites, but I think if I wanted to, I probably could have caught a decent limit on a crankbait today. And I know we could have done that up the White as well. It's just one of those deals where there's enough fish there, you put your head down, I think you can catch them shallow. Catch them on a jig, you can catch them on an A-rig, you can catch them on a jerkbait, you can catch them on a crankbait. Same sort of deal as we're doing down here. You know, these fish are, they're really gravitating towards points this last week with all the water they're running. But, you know, mixed rock and gravel for the crankbait, around trees or brush piles for the jerkbait and the A-rig. And then around brush piles, ledgy type banks, boat docks, anything like that for the jig. A lot of fish up here, a lot of fish up shallow. So keep that in mind. That's part of the reason why I'm not fishing deep. There's so many fish up shallow. I think if you really put your head down and just went to grinding, you could probably catch a decent limit just fishing shallow, with whichever bait you like to throw. Guys, we are end of February. Tournament season starts here pretty quick. Guide season starts here pretty quick. I think I've got 3 trips this week, and then the next couple of weeks are, well, I think all the way through April. I may have 1 or 2 days off, so going to be on the water quite a bit. Hope the bite stabilizes. Looks like we've got some good stable weather this week and a little bit more rain coming the end of the week, but we're not going to get cold again. So definitely going to have some good bites. Again, the best way to stay on top of it, best way to know what's happening, how to catch them, know before you go. join Table Rock Fishing Intel, become a pro member. Get those daily reports, weekly reports, maps, feature videos, all that stuff we put out there on a daily basis to help you catch more fish on Table Rock Lake. Again, remember, Baitworks is giving all of our pro members 10% off if you order. Go through the Table Rock Fishing Intel site, follow the link that's on there, order online, get it shipped to your house, and you get 10% off everything you order. So it's a pretty good deal there, and we're working on some other deals along those lines. But check out Table Rock Fishing Intel and become a pro member. If you're coming down, want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743. Hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either shoot me an email or book online. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching the video. Again, check out Table Rock Fishing Intel if you haven't done so. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.